Hey guys, Dov here, back with another underrated unit for Total War Warhammer 2, and the Bony Boys built a contraption, the Screaming Skull Catapult. It used to be quite a bit of a meme, but since the fixes to explosion damage, it's actually pretty solid right now, and as you saw from that incoming lightning, we're up against the Skaven, and man, this is actually a really cool model. I don't know that I've ever looked at this thing up close for any length of time, but it's actually probably one of the coolest looking artillery pieces in the game, and look at the little hands that roll or step as it rolls along. That's just great. Just great. It's also great against the Skaven because of that leadership debuff. Does magic damage, which is pertinent against stuff like Plague Monks. And yeah, the explosion damage is pretty decent as well. And look at that. Landed on that Warp Lightning Cannon crew. We've got 2 of them plus 3 Jezzails. And it's only going to take... It could zap, in fact. Only going to take like 2 volleys-ish. 2 solid contact volleys to rout this thing off. Because of the leadership effect, the fact that Skaven artillery and, generally most Skaven units have terrible leadership, it does enough damage here that you can see their leadership starts to drop, and that discourage effect. I said 2, maybe like 4 volleys. I don't know, hard to tell. Right now, the counterfire from the artillery is pretty real. The Screaming Skulls here are starting to take some losses, not only to their crews, but one actual piece is down. Screaming Skulls will hit the Realm of the Souls and get healed by it, but if their artillery pieces get destroyed first, then they won't get any healing from that. So the rest of the Bony Boys need to get into the line here as soon as possible, get that healing started. But yeah, you can see Ikit Zap crews long gone. They have run away like brave Skaven. And here, the next Warp Lightning Cannon will be the focus. Bony Boys coming into the line here, so we'll get a nice close-up shot. Yes, run, run! Run from the scary catapult, screaming skulls flying through there. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, giant magical skulls flying through there and then exploding your friends would definitely be very scary. Very, very scary. But we've also got some Storm Vermin in this front line, testing against the skeletons, some Nehekara warriors as well. Lord Skrolk, of course. We can see his stench from a mile away. You can see his stench. Just think about that for a minute. Rat Ogres protecting the flanks here, and some Clan Rat Spears. Council Guard in the back. You can see, though, the Skeleton Horsemen able to sweep up and around here. Nehekara Horsemen also falling in. They're going to keep Ikit Zap from getting back online. Other Warp Lightning Cannons still online, but, I mean, they haven't been focusing the Scorpions. The Jezzails have been focusing the Scorpions primarily, and doing a pretty good job of it. Both the Scorpions are pretty low, but also, these Warp Lightning Cannons aren't shooting Arc in the Black, for example, or this Tomb Prince. They haven't been helping, so the Scorpions are at least still here for the time being. So now the Warp Lightning Cannons are gone. We've got still a few models online, 1 Catapult here and 2 Catapults here. They should still be able to get some effective damage. Meanwhile, this big melee fight, just a massive blob of skeletons and clan rats and so on. The Plague Monk summon will help swing this around. You can see especially this skeleton in the center not doing too great, although they do rout off the clan rats. They themselves are crumbling. That leadership contact effect no longer hits your own units, although not that it mattered too much before, being that, you just keep crumbling, and crumbling doesn't do that much damage, to be honest. It's only 10 damage per second. Yeah, you can see other Nehekara Horsemen, and these, Nehekara Horsemen, not sure, but at the very least, the Skeleton Horsemen chasing that other artillery crew, very well done there. Also getting on these Warplock Jezzails with the Nehekara Horsemen, so continuously shutting down the Scorpions also. Even though they're crumbling and they're hurting, they will continue fighting here for some time as well, and all the while, the Catapults continuing to rain in. Now they've switched targeting onto the Council Guard, which are unbreakable. So the leadership won't do much, but doing the range damage in and of itself is going to be very helpful, considering that, I mean, they're good enough. They don't have the best melee attack, but they're good enough to fight pretty much everything here for the Tomb Kings in melee. So using the Catapult to just deal damage to them is very valid, and you can see the buffs to explosion damage. This thing used to just do nothing, basically, if it made contact, but here makes solid contact with some blobs of these other Storm Vermin as well. Will get hit by that contact effect, and of course the Council Guard. Looks like actually they didn't. A little bit unfortunate. That Rat Ogre's going to shut them down. They've used up a good amount of their ammunition already. Oh, no, the Rat Ogre turns around. Not sure about that. Summon Dushabti, though. Absolutely wrecked those Warplock Jezzails. You can see the Nehekara warriors suffering pretty badly here. They had got those chevrons before the battle, but they're still fighting. These other summoned plague monks here trying to hold back these Nekara horsemen, but of course they can't because they're just light infantry. At this point, the balance of power is starting to turn, as you would expect, as the Skaven forces are getting pretty thin on the ground. Council Guard will continue to fight here, obviously, being unbreakable, but a lot of these other units are going to start to run out of leadership here. Skrulk's trying to rally his Rat Ogres in the center. Definitely think that Rat Ogre should have gone back and shut down these other catapults. This one's up to 91 kills and an XP chevron. They started out with 3. This one's got up to rank 4. And leadership effects plus damage, kind of both utility being showcased here. Rest of the non-routable, or are actually routable, Skaven forces, I should say, they have all been appropriately seen off the field. Only the Council Guard largely remain. I mean, there are still these Rat Ogres, but they're very tattered. Sounds like a big old Doom and Darkness as well from Ark in the Black. That leads to a lot of these units getting terrified away by the one remaining... oh no, what was that? Was that Aspect of Dread Knight? Yeah, that was Aspect of Dread Knight. Okay, I was going to say, there's nothing here that causes terror. Yes, okay, so using that Aspect of Dread Knight and Doom and Darkness to help rout those guys off. Blade of Setep as well, pretty good against Skrull because he does have physical resistance baseline. So that specifically in this matchup is pretty decent. If I can get, oh man, Lord Skrull's card up here. I don't think it's going to want to stay. But yeah, he does have that baseline physical resistance you can see when that wears off, and he gets hit by that contact effect too. His leadership also drops, so I like the pick of the Doom and Darkness plus the Screaming Skulls here, potentially using that synergy to help rout those units off. And just in general, the Screaming Skulls did a nice amount of damage. Even this one that got reduced to only one Catapult model still got 73 kills, almost got that XP chevron too. So really nice stuff. Big thanks to Stormrunner for sending this one in. I've got one more from him as well with another unit to show you tomorrow. But yeah, good stuff. Nekara Horsemen also, great job kind of utilizing them in tandem with these Screaming Skulls to chase units off, rear charge and so on, get those leadership effects. Scorpions did okay. This one had no XP chevron before the battle. They kind of were magnets a little bit for the Jezzail fire, but that's, like I said, that's okay. That means they weren't trying to snipe Arcan, which is nice, or the Tomb Prince. Yeah, I mean, the Storm Vermin in the front line, I like this pick in this matchup. They basically will beat all Tomb King's infantry, and they even trade okay against certain constructs. Obviously, they'll get stepped on pretty hard by certain others, but they're just a great kind of tanky infantry, solid backbone for any Skaven army. I think this is probably a little bit too heavy an investment in the range department. I don't know. I don't play Skaven too much, but I would think you would want the Clan Ixcha's, or yeah, Ixcha's Triads, that's right. Yeah, anyway, this is about Screaming Skulls, though, so let's go ahead and talk about them a little bit more. Not too much else to say besides, yeah, they have one of the coolest models in the game, and also, of any artillery, I should say, and also, very effective. Magic damage, leadership effect, decent armor-piercing damage, too. The explosion is enough to get some damage in, and yeah, it's pretty nice. 380 range, if you compare that to other catapult type artillery, is decent. Obviously, way short of the grudge throwers, and I think trebuchets also outrange it pretty significantly. But of course, these guys don't have the same contact effects, and especially like the Blessed Field Trebuchet does magic damage. It's 150 points more expensive, and 60 more range is pretty impactful. But of course, the crew is a bunch of scared peasants that will run away at the sight of their own farts. I don't know, and the smell of their own farts, and the Screaming Skull is manned by stoic skeletons who care not for the affairs of mortals and will stand there and die until the end times. So yeah, there's that advantage to them. Also, the lesser damage, I feel, is very much made up for by the contact effect. It does significantly less damage on the base of it, but if we have a look here, I'm just curious about the explosion. 30 and 65, the explosion there, and this one is 60 and 16, so a lot less armor-piercing damage actually on the explosion, which is one of the things that makes the Screaming Skull, projectiles decent, I would say. So yeah, probably one of the best catapult-type artillery in the game right now, and certainly a great tool for the Tomb Kings in those matchups where your opponent has a lot of low leadership units, so like Bretonnia, obviously, Beastmen, although Beastmen can rush, and they're fast enough to get on top of your Screaming Skulls, can be tough to protect. Bretonnia can be as well, but you have a little bit easier of a time seeing off their cavalry. Yeah, other factions, obviously, Greenskins, Skaven, as we saw here, would all be good. Good targets to use that against. Likewise, just one more quick comparison of another catapult-type artillery here. You've got the Hammer of Gork and the regular Rock Lobber kind of straddling the cost of this guy. The Hammer of Gork actually is a decent comparison because it also has armor piercing and a discourage effect. It's not exactly the same one. Actually, or no, sorry, gives blind, rather, which is arguably better. Better certainly in certain situations, and the longer range, only 20 longer range actually, is pretty interesting. I also don't think these guys do that much explosion damage. Oh yeah, it's about the same. Interesting. The explosion radius is definitely smaller. But, I mean, 600 points, pretty nice, but again, poor leadership. They're just regular gobos. And because of that, I definitely give the cup, if you will, the title of Best Catapult Artillery, probably to the Screaming Skull. I don't know. What do you guys think? What's the best catapult-type artillery in the game? Based on this game and some other recent experiences, I actually think that the Screaming Skull might be top catapult-type artillery. But, I mean, you got Rock Lobbers, you got Trebuchets, you got the Dwarven Grudge Throwers. Am I missing any? Let me know, guys. Like this sort of content, be sure to like and subscribe. Yeah, and I'll be keeping it up with more unit spotlights going forward, and Lord spotlights as well. I'm going to be doing some spell spotlights even. I don't know if I'll do full-on Lords of Magic spotlights. I've done that in the past, but I think I'm probably going to hold off on that for the time being. But yeah, certainly more unit spotlights, so be sure to subscribe for that. Click the bell notification button. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.